Hello. So here's a message for the group that I haven't one posted for a very long time about David Hawkins, and it's about him, and it's a question that I've had. I wanted to share something, which is that obviously he is deceased in 2012, so he had intimate connection in my life. Now tonight, I had the question in mind. David Hawkins is an entity. Okay, I tested it and it was weak. So obviously false. So I don't know where he is now or what he's doing or if he's even, gonna reincarnate or, stay in the celestial realm. um, no idea. But I did ask that question and I did get back that false answer. Now, one of the things in my spiritual development I've noticed is that at certain stages, there has been a kind of thing here that kind of like goes, and then it will send a message to someone, maybe a person in my past. It actually did send a message that wasn't a very nice message, and um, it's also there are a lot of things going on with it. But if that's a projection of my subconscious or my unconscious mind, I'm really not sure, but I would imagine so. And I would imagine that people who are more interested in modeling Doc or being like him could get psychotherapy and go through it, laying down on the couch and experience it. But myself, I don't really feel like there are any seriously unresolved issues going on presently. Everything that's going on with me, I'll spare you the details of my personal life, but they're pretty much handled, they're managed. So I just have this open question. Now, I think we kind of got the picture on Doc. I mean, we understand, the gestalt psychology, that understanding of that imagination. So, what we seem to um, do when we follow his teachings, I'm going to stop there because I don't want to speak for the group. But what is devotional non duality is always been a process of trying to just understand to the best of my ability what I know, because I don't know the things that I know through the recordings of Doc that you can see and we see that exist out there on YouTube or Veritas. It's not those recordings of Doc that lets me know what I am. So what I am seems to change based on interest and intention, but devotional non-duality, the main experience of surrender and letting go, is very simple, and it's just like that. There's the space, there's the end of the playback, and as we know now, is an illusion, and the reality is 1/10,000th of a second prior, you know, to each thought. So there's reality. Well, that was the thought, actually. So it's before that. So it's before all these things. So you go to a good space, but you go to a peaceful space. Um, I've been talking with a lot of people, whether consciously or not, about the final door because it's a beast. It's a it's um, the final door is like a spiritual aspiration that that honestly I feel like may never come to be in my spiritual evolution, because there's too strong a pull towards my actual life that to surrender that life and to die for God the way is said that someone on we're think the person I'm holding in mind did die for God. Doesn't seem like it could be a reality because there are too many things, there are too many responsibilities and attachments that I have here. Not that I'm attached to them, but they're responsibilities. I'm responsible to my family, I'm responsible to my friends, my male friends, my female friends, my everything. So what I'm looking at with myself, despite the fact that, really you could say spiritual ego would make me want to say, oh, I could be like Muji, be in this beatific spiritual space and talk about my beautiful spiritual experiences and how incredible it was, and God was there, and I walked in the footsteps of Jesus, and then there was this shining, there was this blissful melting presence, this this stuff. That's not really. It's kind of prosaic, don't you think? Um, what seems to me to be my role in this world more is a kind of educator, because I had an educator, and I, not doc, but an actual professor in college in 2011, and I've found enlightenment to be very much like that, and I've also found that educational process to be very enlightening, and to shed a lot of light on um, certain on what I'm talking about right now, which this group will understand. So, um, if anybody ever feels like they're not able to relate to other people, or they're not really able to live a normal life, you can always send me a message or comment or get in touch with me, because my identity has kind of been shattered to a certain degree by getting so deeply into the surrendering and into spiritual states where, yes, you know a lot about spirituality, but what do you know about things in the real world? What do you know about TV land and the baseball game and all this stuff? So I know that I'm programmed by something. I was gonna say I was programmed by Dr. David Hawkins. I don't think that's what it is. I'm programmed by something. I can't really figure out or discern what it is. But you know, even if that programming is just my own thoughts, and I can't accept that those thoughts are really what's going on, in this attractor field, because right now when I say attractor field, I already think, yeah, but that was Doc's thought. He programmed me. I don't know. I don't know if that's really what it is, or if that's really the case. No idea whatsoever. But what I do know is what I'm doing right now, and this message I wanted to send. Um, Not to be spiritual, not to be a guru like Muji or something, or to try to have a following or anything like that, but just to talk and give some commentary about where I'm at, and uh, you know, uh, to kind of let go of the delusion that we're all on the same page, or that we're all speaking the same language that we hear in the lectures about surrender and about the ball game. Because if you were not on a spiritual path, you wouldn't be here. You'd be at the ball game. Our own language that we've heard from the lectures. To assume that, I don't assume that other people really speak that language, but those thoughts are coming from somewhere. So if this attractor field, if this pattern is reaching the people who are watching this, um, then we can really start waking up from the dream of being asleep in the waking state, and continue to be devoted to truth, especially if our destiny is enlightenment. And so, um, some people I wanted to thank, but these people know who they are, because well, Willie, for one thing, thank you again, brother, so much for the impact you've had with the gifts and the conversations and the happy face and the videos you make. So as we know, there's not much really to talk about once you're in that space, and there's no communication going back and forth either. So in a way, you're more alone, but more connected than you've ever been. And that person, thinking of a person, is a projection of your mind anyway. So if I tell the world here on this forum that Willie is the greatest, was he saying something using a derogatory word about himself? Willie is the greatest mofo out there. Was he saying that? If I was Willie is the greatest mofo out there, that's just a projection. But there have been people I've met on this forum who've made an impact on me, and I remember those people like snippets of time within mind's memory of going back to conversations I've had, of the intention in my heart to be a connect, to be spreading the truth of my understanding at that time, which changes, but not to hang on to it, but to let it unfold as it does. And one of the understandings I can tell you is that love and relationship and people are like a rose, where there's a beautiful rose, and you have to take it by the top and lift it. And if you try to just grab it, then you have to watch out because you can bleed. Thorns are sharp. So you can see where in my psyche that's coming from. And the last thought I want to leave you with is just, what is David Hawkins, and what does he mean to you? And that's going to be the question for you. And Gloria in Excelsis Deo.